Hello there, my beautiful friends. Tonight I am surrounded by some wonderful people in the community that I have thankfully been able to meet. And we're going to discuss the PR nightmare the Jehovah's Witness organization is in, along with the continuous leaks from inside of the organization and etc. Who knows what else we will talk about. But first, I'd like to say welcome you all. Thank you for being here. Yay.
Thanks for having us. I'm excited.
Yeah. I am excited too to get some insight on what you guys think is happening. And if you wouldn't mind, Ron, would you start out by just introducing or saying who you are as much as you feel comfortable introducing yourself?
I'm Ron.
Hi, Ron.
That's what you get. That's it.
The government is stupid.
I go by Ron.
True to character. True to character. I love it.
I had to. No, I go by Ron Pimo on Instagram and Twitter and Reddit, and I like to be a thorn in the side of Watchtower.
Damn right. I love it.
I love that. I'm all for being a thorn in the Watchtower side. Dr. Time Waster, how about you, please? And thank you.
Yes, I am Dr. Time Waster. I am ex-Jehovah's Witness, born and raised. And I also love to be a thorn in this. But that's not really my true goal. I think my true goal is just to find what the truth really means. I think that's really my true goal. And so I just like to ask questions. And honestly, that's it. I just want to understand what's going on. So that's what I'm really here for.
That.
If I can help anyone understand things, if we can uncover things, that's what I'm here for.
Yep. After years of being told what the truth is, now that we're able to do our own research, it's nice to know what we want to know. That's our desire, is to know what the real truth is that's going on. Jason, would you mind giving us a little howdy doody, if you will?
Howdy doody. It's Fog
Howdy
Ready Studios. Jason Alexander, mostly on TikTok. Should be more on Instagram, but I do art, and my goal for what y'all see is usually to make sure that everybody knows that, like, whatever piece of the Watchtower I can drag out to show you what it looks like, I'm gonna do it. Like, they've taken enough of my time that I'm going to make sure that I see what the end looks like, and it's kind of fun, but it's kind of scary at the same time. So you kind of measure the wins, because they're not good losers.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. They're not primed to lose, no. Although they're able to spin it, to make themselves look like the victim. But I mean, this could be a huge, whatever's coming around the bend could be really huge for them. They've already taken some really big losses, right. In the media, against the organization, etc. I'm sure most of the people in the audience have an idea of what's been going on, but tonight specifically, we're hoping to get into this department that they have. It seems like they're doing some really big rearranging. I guess this department's been around for 4 years, if I've got that much correct.
Like 2019. That's about what I've seen, like early 2019.
Okay, good.
So yeah, they're about 4 years old now,
and that was the shift in the department, because it used to be called Public Information Desk,
exactly.
And they brought in Robert Hendricks around 2019 and developed the department.
Yeah, he's got a corporate eye, that Robert Hendricks. Like, he's changing things. Like, this is the next age of the Watchtower. Like,
definitely.
Oh, here is Kaya. Hi, Kai. Kai.
Hi.
I'm sorry, Kai. Thank you for joining us. I apologize. I did not see you back there. Hope you weren't waiting too long.
It's okay.
If you wouldn't mind just giving us a little introduction. I don't know if you're a newer face. You're kind of a newer face to me. I found you recently and I just fell in love with your videos. So I'm really glad that you could be here with us tonight. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel, just my name, Kai Natalia. I've been making content for a while, but I just started making XJW content like a couple months ago. So yeah, it's been really fun just getting to meet everyone, and yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. Welcome. Yeah, it's always good to see more people. I say it all the time. It's good to see more people raising awareness to what is happening, because you never know who you're going to reach. Like the everyday people that know you, like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that was a cult. So
yeah,
welcome.
Seriously.
We're glad to have you. So anyway, this department been around since 2019. As much as I've seen of this video and all the information that's been released, it seems like it has been changing continuously. That is one thing that I noticed, that it's not, whatever they're doing, it's continuously being reformatted for whatever reason.
They don't know what to do. Like they're pretty much like, as an organization that is in control of as much money as they are like putting forth the same effort that I am to like figure out how to catch on to an algorithm. Like they really tried it, and I didn't know, but they really tried it with the World Cup. Like this is like the thing that I noticed first.
That headline.
Yeah, they put an article about the World Cup on JW.org. Like with
they said, let me see how many hits.
Yeah, exactly. And then I found a TikTok that was somebody getting a trophy in the World Cup, and it was tagged viral and Jehovah's Witnesses in Spanish. And that was the only 2 tags on the video. Like they're really just like trying to throw fillers out, and so
see what bites.
See what sticks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Can I say one more thing, y'all? I just gotta say this real quick.
You can say 2 more things.
This is all I want to say for right now, and then I'm just gonna be quiet. But if anybody is watching this that is not affiliated with the Jehovah's Witnesses, that just are like looking for another perspective on it, Jehovah's Witnesses are going to believe this public information department. This is their ace in the hole. Like I don't doubt that I would have believed it. My mom believes it. Any of my siblings who are still witnesses believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to understand, it's not good. So please, like, dig. Like, if you see what the Jehovah's Witnesses put out in a news story, I would almost say that some of it is a lie. I don't really think they would ever speak 100% the truth to anybody who's not trying to hide a secret with them. So it's not always what they say, and you have to ask more questions. Like, I really have been doing my best to keep this story in Colorado, or now both of these stories in Colorado, out in front, because
it's really sad.
It's really tough. And it's really tough that the witnesses would rather like throw that stuff out when this sounds like somebody, I mean, it sounds terrible, but it does sound like somebody who was in crisis. But they would rather talk about that, even if it gives them a black eye about the disfellowshipping thing, than to talk about this elder who molested kids over 6 decades, 2 hours away from where this happened. They don't want to, that's the things that they don't want to talk about, because that's what they're made out of. Like they're right. So, okay. I'm sorry.
You're right. Though, no, you're right. They will take the worst of it and know how to manipulate it to be the best of the worst. I get exactly what you're trying to say. It's the manipulation
department. Yeah, the PID is the manipulation department. It's
propaganda. It's all just propaganda to battle the bad PR. They're going to try to combat it with good PR, just like we've seen with these little slots. They just search his name in YouTube, and all these little news media spots come up, man. And they're just such baloney interviews.
Did y'all notice on the video all that guy could like show was articles about them opening meetings back up. Like that's the only good news that they have to report. And they posted it like 7 times in that video, like as a collage. I'm like, yo, we get it. Like you guys are one Kingdom Hall, so you're doing the same thing. It doesn't need to be in 90 news cycles trying to hide whatever else.
Yeah, but that's what they're going to cling on to, just to deviate from the bad stuff that's going on. So I'm guessing that this entire this is what I took away from it, and I'm hoping maybe Ron, or whoever has more inside information, can correct me and can come forward and say whatever. But it just seems like this entire department its whole focus is how to get media clicks, get more likes, get more involvement from not us, I guess. Make more witnesses.
It's strange. It's hard to exactly nail down what their goal is, but the biggest shift that happened in the last 4 years is a proactive media approach.
Right.
Instead of a public information desk where reporters call in for a comment from Jehovah's Witnesses on some notorious story out there in the country or in the world, this is a department now that tries to get positive news stories made about Jehovah's Witnesses.
They're doing media rollouts.
And they have an army of Jehovah's Witness volunteers around the country and around the world writing.
Over 100,
it's hard to figure out the numbers of how many different regions they have. I think it was maybe 11 in the United States, but I could be wrong. But it's a lot of people involved. I personally have seen at least a dozen connections of people in the Northwest of like connections I've made on Twitter with people. So there's a lot everywhere. But yeah, it's a proactive, let's get positive news stories out there. And it's sure interesting to see.
Yeah, this is pretty wild times.
Ryan, I think we might have lost your audio.
That's because I muted myself because I took a little sippy. Oopies, I took a sippy. I was just, hold on. I'm going to share something just very quickly if I can figure out what I am doing. So I just wanted to bring that slide up. That was one of the slides that
clown out of here.
Took. Do not like. But yeah, I just wanted to hone in on the fact that you mentioned that this department is comprised of volunteers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so these people, any talent that they do have, instead of it serving them to generate money, income so they can retire at some point, they're helping to generate good PR for this church.
Yeah. And in fact, a lot of people who are recruited into this department, they are looking for witnesses who have connections to news, journalism, media in their career. And if they do, they want to use those people to help push the propaganda. So yeah, it's all volunteers as far as I can tell. And it can take a few hours a week, or it could take a lot of time depending on how much they want to put into it. So
yeah, but wouldn't you rather do this than be on the quick bill committee, like to be
well,
a
that's
JW
the thing.
TikToker?
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
have
that's
status.
what were you saying? What do you
Like,
mean?
what is this? Who is this? Who's the target audience? Who made
great
this?
question. I was just talking with someone about that.
Yeah.
I have a couple opinions, or just ramblings. What is their goal? Yeah, who is their target audience? Because from what I have seen, overwhelmingly, if a story gets published, a big story on like a notable news outlet, let's say the AP or NPR picks it up, and they have a comment section, overwhelmingly the comments on it are irritated about Jehovah's Witnesses. There's ex-witnesses commenting on it, and there's witnesses defending themselves saying we're not a cult, but there's a lot of people saying quit coming to my door on Saturday morning. But then the other target audience, I think, is Jehovah's Witnesses. they see these puff pieces put into their regional newspaper, or their nickel saver weekend rag, and they say, "Oh, look at this amazing story that was put out there about us." They're telling the great news about Jehovah's Witnesses. But these witnesses who share this stuff on social media with each other and in their family groups, they don't realize this is all made by Jehovah's Witnesses. This is all made by Watchtower and published by them. So,
I mean, that fits the bill for what people are doing on Facebook and social media everywhere. Is they share things that aren't true, that are propaganda of some kind. People don't vet that kind of information, and it's clickbait, and we get excited and we share it. I've probably been victim of that as well. I'm sure I've shared my fair share of fake news, right?
I got my butt handed to me by somebody, and I was like, I'm sorry, I can admit I was wrong. I shared something I didn't research. Okay, I take it back. Sorry.
And part of that is just because we're human, right? Like we want good things to happen to people. We get upset when bad things happen, and when people take advantage of that, they're using us to send their message, whether it's clickbait so that they can get clicks and get money, or whether it's an organization who started off as a religion, turned into a corporation, and now I don't even know who this is supposed to be meant for, but that looked like we might be rearranging the department and moving people around, and then pray to God. Like, this is weird. Like, it's just bizarre. I'm sorry.
No, the whole thing is weird. Everything that they do is for gain, for monetary gain. Was it Ron, was it you who were saying like they do things possibly for the impact of Jehovah's Witnesses themselves, just so they can say like, oh wow, look how we're portrayed in the media. And I thought it was really interesting how for instance this slide here about the impact of conventions. So they're really going to focus on trying to get like the news out there with them, but to make sure they have the right people to answer questions if the news is out there, asking questions of people. Like they just want to make a show of themselves. And I do not understand it, because again, that is just so anti what they used to be. Like you were never to make a show of anything, and they're so showy.
So as a Jehovah's Witness, like if you can put your Jehovah's Witness hat on for a second, sorry, but you have this belief.
I don't have a hat.
You have this belief that you're squeaky clean. You believe that you have one up on everybody because you're highly moral. There it is, exactly. So don't forget to turn in your time. It's almost the first.
No.
So
like 80 hours, right?
Right, but at the same time, there's always something sneaky going on. It might be something small, but there's something that we all do or we all did that was not on brand. Like, because everybody has to have that outlet. I believe that everybody did. But we all surf the internet. Like, and as much as they say, like, stick to this, you don't. But so now how they combat it is by doing the things that kind of feed that sneaky side of you. But now it's like, oh, now the Jehovah's Witnesses are in my mainstream social media, the more these stories come out. Like, remember over the summer, those Robert Hendricks like news things that he was doing all over the place, and they got
that's what
over YouTube. So
yes,
I feel like this was like the baby steps of that. Like that was like the precursor.
Seeing how it worked.
It got our attention. And if it gets our attention and it gets us talking, they have to be a little bit louder, but they haven't been able to compete with 1,000 million tiny voices
of us.
Exactly. And so which is now they're trying to get on our level, but they really can't win without exposing themselves. Mm-hmm. But it only matters to us, unfortunately, until something bad happens. It only matters what they do to us until like something really newsworthy happens, and that's kind of the goal to avoid, right? Like, should we
share that little clip, because that kind of specifically ties into exactly what you're saying, Jason, that a lot of us, like, we sometimes don't think that we amount to anything. I'm like freaking broken record, but we really do. Like, we make impact. It really freaking matters, because you just get like one video that gets sent to the right person. You just don't know. So we have a clip where, and you all may have seen it. Ron, if you're cool, if I share that clip that you said about the apostates, and how they're doing this media coverage to try to push our media, more down to the bottom, and theirs up to the top.
Yeah. So this clip was from a few months ago, I think back in June or September. And they are very proud of everything that get published, and they track it. And so you'll see, I mean, they keep a database of like every published media hit they get. That's what media hits means, published stories, whether that's Hendrix on a YouTube channel, a radio station, or a puff piece in a local newspaper. So you'll see this map, and then some interesting information about tracking their puff stories and how big of an impact it's having for them.
Okay.
How many news stories have talked about how we are at the precipice of the great mutilation of planet Earth and Armageddon?
They don't witness JW doctrine in these puff pieces.
No, exactly. This is all the most
tell the truth.
Banana, plain cream, vanilla.
Tell the truth. No,
pudding.
That's not who they are.
Yeah. Nope. All right. So let's show this clip and show their true incentive, why they're doing all this. Okay, here we go. I think, hopefully. Tell me if the sound works.
My blue square totally looks better than theirs, by the way, also.
There was beautiful work that was accomplished during that return to in-person meetings and in-person memorial. It was remarkable what you brothers and sisters were able to accomplish, and how Jehovah blessed our work beyond compare. Here's a little chart that will help us. Just in a very small amount of time, we were able to shift gears very quickly. And from March the 25th through May the 5th, we had 1,058 total media hits. In fact, when you look on this chart on 3/30, this was the day before we went back to the meetings on Saturday and Sunday, we had over 40 hits just that day alone. And then it was remarkable, as you look at our overall view of our map, these little dots represent all of these hits.
Worst cell phone coverage ever.
The structure was in place, and it adjusted very quickly, and it was able to handle the workload that was thrown at you, dear brothers and sisters. These dots represent all of the different media hits all over the United States, and you can see wonderful coverage. North to south, east to west. The metropolitan areas did magnificent, but also look at these rural areas.
New phone, who dis?
Should be commended for that. As we do a little flyover of our map, you'll see California, great success, but also in Hawaii. We were on an NBC news affiliate. 1.5 million viewers saw that program. It was outstanding. You brothers and sisters working in Alaska, kudos to you. You were able to crack into that market and find great success. And all of you, dear brothers and sisters in these supervised lands, we were so excited to see how Jehovah had really blessed your work in every way. And then here was the beauty of it.
Here's the key.
Not only did we have the return to meetings, but then that spilled right over into our memorial. And it was an even split really between the two. But that meant that we were in the news cycle for some 20, 25 days easy. All of the apostate stuff pushed to the bottom, all of the beautiful truths pushed to the top. These are just some of the covers of different news articles.
Google
just
News.
Again, representing the work of you hard working brothers and sisters. We thank you for that. That really is a thing of beauty.
Okay. Yeah, a thing of lies.
My microphone for the rest of this episode, I think. that video in particular had to be for Jehovah's Witnesses. because that made it
That
made
graph
less
is
sense
really
to hear him
impressive.
say it.
That graph was like, I was like, what the hell is that? What is
Social
that
media hits.
representing?
Oh, we're number one in
Like
social
trending
media.
on Twitter? Is this what
Yeah.
you're talking about?
Yeah,
Or?
they
Like
paid
we
for
had
a blue check
48 hits in one day. Like, okay,
Yeah.
bro, like we're getting 37 hits just right now watching this. Like, I'm not sure what to tell you. You're doing something wrong.
It's like a monster in a human suit. Like, but they didn't even get a human suit. They got like a Easter bunny costume. And they're struggling, man.
Their intention
really
is to push our content because we are who they are battling. Like, y'all need to hear this. Like, that is so important that you realize, like, we are who they are battling. And that's pretty impressive to me because
I want to comment on that because
yeah.
Let's dissect what they mean by apostate stuff pushed to the bottom.
Yeah.
I
want to know more about that.
Yes. Okay, I'm here for this.
For the most part, it's pretty rare when an actual XJW apostate gets a journalist to pick up their story and put them on TV or get them in the newspaper or online article. What apostate stories means to Jehovah's Witnesses or to Watchtower is factual, negative news stories.
Yeah.
Child sexual abuse scandals.
Yeah.
Shootings. That one's incredibly rare and very unfortunate, but domestic abuse things, anything negative about Jehovah's Witnesses. What's going on right now a lot is coercive control for children in religions is a big topic right now that's picking up around the world. So to Jehovah's Witnesses, to Watchtower, anything negative equals apostate. It can be a 100% factual, tragic story about a child who was abused by a predator, but that child is an apostate. That victim is an apostate for speaking out and getting this story out there.
And the perpetrator is usually another witness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, that seems to be the case. I mean, a pattern is a pattern.
Yeah, I think they also have a track record of counting the hits and not the misses. So I think this would also be a really good example of it because they're just going to count their hits that they've already tallied. They literally are counting their hits. And then they're going to just redefine what a miss is, especially if it needs to help them look good.
Yep.
So
well said.
Did something in the news, they are a former witness. So we've just redefined who that person is.
As soon as that person does something that's not witness-like.
Right. Exactly. No, I think that's a great point to be made, that immediately, like, that was the first thing that my eye was drawn to, that they were called former. And I was just floored because welcome back, because we know, like, no, not at all. Because we know that, at least in my opinion, you're never really former when you've spent years inside the cult. Like, how do you, like, I'm always going to be dissecting this from my mechanisms in my brain, if you know what I mean.
I have to. It's what I'm made out of. So I never got a chance to understand the world or myself. So I'm going to pull this apart.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm not the only one, and I'm not the worst story. And it's pretty rough. So if it's not just me, it needs to be dissected. And now it's happening. Like, it's falling out now. Like, it's falling apart. So it's showing what it is, like, very publicly now.
Which is, I mean, who else would need a specific department to redirect, like, sources and stories and whatnot? You know what I mean? Like, that just seems like way
Mormons.
too, right. Like, it seems.
I think there's a reckoning happening with not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but other high control groups like Mormons, of course, the Southern Baptist Conference, all of that.
I agree. I think all their feet are being held to the fire. Their unfortunately, they just have a lot of resources and they're organized, which we aren't necessarily as much so. But things like this will help. We'll eventually get our ish together. I mean, this is all new for me, and I think most certainly new for most of us.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I will never do this as long.
So,
yeah, I'll never do this as long as I was a Jehovah's Witness. In real life, like I'll never do what I'm doing now as long as I was a Jehovah's Witness. So they got that part. So
it's their fault. They created me.
It's our generation. Like we were the hellfire and brimstone generation of being Jehovah's Witnesses. It was always scary. It was always tense. It was always the hardest parts. Like it's easy. Like what it looks like to be a witness now is very different than what it was when I was a witness. So we got out and we're their worst nightmare. And it shows because they had to create a whole media team to refute the stories because we were telling the truth about what was going on in the organization. We were researching their books better. We were pulling up. I'm able to deprogram from the organization using only current Watchtower publications. I like
they did it to themselves.
That's where I grew up. But it's not hard to explain to somebody who's not in it that it's wrong. It's very hard to explain to somebody who's in it that it's wrong because they do personal study, but they don't do personal study.
Because if you're doing it with their books, it's not personal study.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're doing it on their rhythm, there's a reason for that. There's not. It's not an unintelligent effort. Whoever is like pulling the strings is not stupid. Like there's not. You're not in a cult because you're not a smart person. You're in a cult because they're good at what they do, and so this is the example. They are going to build a tiny cult out of a cult for whatever the next phase is, because a lot of people are going to see through this, and some people are going to like really dig in because of it.
Could you imagine if there was another split? That would be wild if there was like a split, like it happened in the 30s or whenever that was.
It's us. It's happening right now. We're the other congregation. Like we say all the same things that they do. We reference all the same material that they do. We're not lying about the other parts.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I have hope.
No, go ahead.
We will see someone whose face has appeared on JW Broadcasting
one day.
Yes.
One day.
Yes.
I have a feeling. Yeah, right. And I think that whoever is doing it, like they're obviously, I would think probably as much as they can are paying attention to the things we're saying. So if anybody happens along this and you're the one who's doing that heavy lift, and I just don't even know what to say to you. My heart just goes out to you because it's such a heavy burden, but you're doing the work, and wow, thank you.
It's worthy
we
work.
Thank you.
It's turning the tide. It really, really is.
Oh boy, it's laborious, but man, you are really lifting the carpet up. They swept it under the rug, but we're just sweeping it back out. We got that Swiffer. So do you guys think we could share that clip, the other big clip of where they're down where Robert downplays the women's being in that department, running that department?
Yeah.
Okay, just give me a second. I gotta find that.
It don't really matter how you watch this. I know it's on Reddit. If you guys that are watching this in the live, like it's worth watching. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but there's something that will make you drop your jaw. it just, there's a few really heavy chapters of it, and for when parts of it to come out when it did, 24 hours before what happened in Thornton, Robert Hendricks is talking about what he's talking about. That is bizarre, man. Like, I'm not saying
really
it's fake news or anything like that. I'm just saying it's very, very bizarre.
Yeah, I want to be clear on that point. It is not a conspiracy. It's a coincidence.
This really happened.
Right.
Yeah, something awful really happened.
This
And
was live streamed the day before that event happened, but it was prepared. They had the graphics.
Exactly. It's just a coincidence. Yeah.
Absolutely a coincidence.
But in my opinion, as I've said before, and I think you've all probably have said, that this stuff happens because of the callous words from the elites who run the spiel. So let's play what Mr. Hendick said. Oh, Hendricks. I didn't mean that at all. All right, here we go. So he's talking to a guy who's running this certain department. The guy goes to he's just sharing some information, and I think at the end he regrets his decision to share this information. Here we go.
He looked totally uncomfortable.
For our work, and I know that over the next several months it's going to be even more refined. As an example, the Office of Public Information gave us access to a commercial site that does this and paid a lot of money for it for the International Convention. And we're glad to be able to save not only money, but also have a better product. So thanks once again, Bill. We look forward to specialized training for this in March and April that we will we'll have as part of our quarterly. We'll have a brief one in quarterly, and then we'll also send that.
He's talking about the different meetings that they're going to have.
Thanks for all you do, and thanks to your team.
And now here it comes.
They're still busy, and that's not going to change. So we love you guys, and we love what you do.
All that praise.
Just one tiny little thing we want to show too as well is there's going to be an additional tab where you can see the actual entire team that you're going to be calling out there as well.
Now,
so there's that office assistant.
I noticed on that team you have all young, beautiful sisters as office support. I don't think that's very helpful.
I'll leave that up to you. But,
freaking cap.
Oh yes, it's a local decision. Local decision and principle based.
Absolutely.
A creep will
that
always
stiff upper lip is staying with you.
Creep.
Okay, Bill. Thank
Boop.
you. Thank you so much for all that you do. Yeah,
pleasure.
So that's exciting, isn't it?
It really is.
All right, so that was. Oops.
The commenting. That was exciting. It really was, Tom. Oh my god, that was so awkward. That was so cringy.
So cringy.
And that complete shift. There was like a huge shift from where he's like praise and praise and praise, and then just blatantly knocks the girls, the beautiful girls, and it's not healthy. Like, how can you go from praising them for everything that they do and then
because in their mind,
do the right thing?
That's also praise.
It's
in their mind, that's
JW Bros.
Patriarchal, like toxic masculinity thing. Like, though you got babes in your office, like they're supposed to giggle and swoon because Mr. Two Rings said it.
Emotionally
and that dude was so
stunted.
uncomfortable.
So,
yes.
Do you want to know something about that clip?
Yes.
I want to know something about that clip.
I told someone I wouldn't talk about this, so I'm not going to mention names. But the uncomfortable guy who Robert was talking to, who was sharing the screen, that man's daughter was on that screen.
Oh,
man.
Gross. Oh, no. That poor
See,
guy.
that's not right. That's not even right.
What if he knew? Because also, don't put that past them either.
Robert would have known. Robert would have known. It's his department. It's his colleagues.
Yep.
That's just so rude, man.
Oh my god.
Just so freaking
That was a
rude.
very gross. That was a very gross segment. Like him flexing about how much money they spent. Him like, ogling over this department. Now that the daughter of this guy who you don't have to be an expert body language reader to see discomfort.
Oh, he was just like he just was like,
he was a good person.
I know.
You didn't just say this to me.
Yeah,
that was a look of stun.
yeah.
And then how he handled it.
He
He was
handled
like,
it
"I'm
like
sh- you do
I
it
was
biblical."
raised to handle it, which is to nervously laugh and
Pretend it's okay.
I'm loving laughing at
Yeah.
your horribly sexist joke.
I still struggle with doing that.
Yep.
I do. I struggle with doing that still, and like making sure I'm direct and like, no, that's not accept. Well, obviously he couldn't fight back, but you know, it's just horrible that they played that for however many people they have, volunteers who get to log in and see that video. And I'm sure there probably will be JW bros that, yeah, why do they get to do that?
I wonder if he did that because he was paying that guy. Like, you know how you have the elder at the restaurant that's always a little bit more of an a-hole to the staff?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know his name.
What if this was his way of doing that because of how much money they spent on this program?
Actually, I wanted to ask that question. He started that whole segment off. I tried to write it down that they spend a bunch of money for access to commercial site, something to save money. Take it away, Bill. And I was like, what the
Exactly. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what it is that I was a bit confused because there's just so much to take in, and I was struggling.
I think if you watch the entire video and more around that clip, they were probably talking about a PR tool, like an outside PR media relations tool that is made by someone in the world that gets them access to like contact information for media outlets and journalists and all that stuff. It's and I think it's a program that they've incorporated with their own programs.
Some type of like
But
data collector.
You know, they're talking about paying a lot of money to get this access to it.
Like a website scraper.
Yeah, it might be a fully automated thing. You know, people out there make databases for all different kinds of industries, but it's some kind of industry specific database and contact tool, I believe.
Okay. That's I wasn't quite sure how some of this was going because I was paying attention to bits and pieces. I did take some different notes about some other things that I thought was quite interesting.
Can't help myself.
That he said, specifically at the 55-minute mark, he talks about, I could play it, but I'll just tell you, he talks about how like they have this new media landscape with Zoom, and they never even really thought about the fact that now they can do Zoom interviews with these different media outlets, and like how this is all like, it basically all leads to how this is like Jehovah's blessing, Jehovah's Holy Spirit. And I'm just thinking, if technology is giving you, like we said this backstage, if technology is giving you this ability to do things via Zoom, you don't have to do things in person anymore. Why do you need 15,000 Kingdom Halls? Please make it make sense.
They're getting more productivity out of them when they're not working from home.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Like it is
at one
the grossest version of capitalism because it's only them that benefit, and they just they're not getting their widgets fast enough anymore.
Nope.
Interesting that part of this latest one that was released, they did talk about coming out of COVID and how that's changing the department. I think a lot of people were working from home, locked down, and they had more time to volunteer for this department, and so a lot more stuff got done. And I wonder how many people have been lost from the department in recent months as things begin to open up and people just don't have as much time. And you know, the rest of the world is moving on from puff pieces during a time when everything's locked down. In the previous seminar that they did in September, at the end of it, Robert Hendricks almost got teary about please remain loyal to our department. Like, please remain loyal to the organization and remain loyal to our department. We don't want to lose you. And it was very odd. So,
you know what? When you mentioned that, he kept saying how, like, we know that this might be a shock to you, and we understand that, like, this redirection might be hard for some people because they really enjoyed the video production they were doing, and now it's going to be going to this
Central.
yeah. Thank you. And so we understood that, you know, it might be hard, but please stick around. Please, you know, we'll get through this or whatever. So whatever's happening, like, obviously there's some rumbles in there, people being like not being really happy, it sounds, at least from what I was picking up.
I think reading between the lines, there's something there.
Yeah.
Usually
It's something is afoot. Like,
you know, I had a conversation with another friend recently after I released all this stuff. How do you not wake up working for this department?
I think that could be part of the issue.
You know, your goals are to suppress factual negative stories about your organization. You see the tactics, you have all the outlines. I mean, it seems very slimy work, and how are people okay with it? It would wake me up, I think. So,
I think you're right. Them more than anybody probably are seeing some of the bad, like the stuff that's coming in, and having to figure out how to redirect it and reposition it. That's part of the reason why there's some rumblings. People are like, is this all true? I don't know. I wonder.
I don't know. I know. Yeah, Nash just said the same thing as my wife. How does the legal department not wake up? Right? Yeah.
Seriously.
Excellent point.
Yeah, it's really sad when you see people who could maybe be bright and do things on the outside world and actually get paid for it, doing things for free for this organization, and they probably struggle to sleep at night. At least I couldn't see how they sleep at night unless they're just that brainwashed.
Maybe that's how you know who's getting paid. Is
right.
Departments that have to do like this. Like, it must be some scary to leak this stuff, because I feel like these people know what the truth is.
Yeah.
Because they're actively suppressing it. Like, this is a suppression department. Like, we call it different things, propaganda, public information, and but it's a suppression department. Like, anything you can put out when somebody Googles Jehovah's Witnesses, that's not, you know what to skip. As a Jehovah's Witness, you'll know what to skip and you'll know what to click on.
Yep, exactly.
I'll tell you one example of that thing you just described is when the news broke from the Attorney General's office in Pennsylvania was it October or November? I think like late October.
It was late October.
So the news broke, big press conference with the AG, news outlets start picking it up and writing stories about these 4 men who tried to be arrested. One of them took his life. The day after that, Robert Hendricks went on a news station in in Pennsylvania, so nearby, but in the state of Pennsylvania. He went on a local news channel on the radio and gave an interview. And it was one of the least well-prepared interviews he's ever given. When he does a media appearance, it's almost completely scripted. You can tell.
He was just out there.
The people have the softball questions on a script ready to ask him because they know the answers. They kind of tee it all up like they know what's coming. This woman who he was interviewing in Pennsylvania didn't necessarily ask hardball questions, but asked him some uncomfortable questions. But man, is he a good spinster, because she asked him about how can a Jehovah's Witness marry a non-Jehovah's Witness? Is that allowed?
Oh.
And he's like, it's absolutely allowed. We don't micromanage our friends. And shortly after asking that, or he rambled on for probably 3-4 minutes about that. He asked, "So what about children? What if a child? Do children have to choose to become Jehovah's Witnesses?" And he took that question and flipped it as, "Oh yeah, children have to make the choice to learn and eventually." But the question was, do Jehovah's Witness children have to choose to be Jehovah's Witnesses?
Right.
And
they want a place to live.
He said yes. Choice is involved. Yes.
So
the choice is you have to.
But the fact that he went and did that appearance in Pennsylvania the day after bad news broke, I mean, that was not a coincidence, if you ask me. That was to push down and bring positive information to the community about Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right. Okay. So that makes me wonder, does that mean that relatively soon we're going to have another one of those puff pieces released?
Well, this last
is it almost like tit for tat?
Yeah, that'll be interesting because this last week was one of the worst weeks for news for Watchtower I have seen in recent history.
Yeah.
Norway, Japan, these 2 stories out of Colorado, and then more stories out of the Pennsylvania sexual abuse cases. Yeah. It's bad. So that's why
it's a whirlwind.
That's why it was time to release these videos this week. So
it's the opportune time. There's some scripture about like the opportune time, like
food at the proper time. The
other day I said an apple at the right time.
Brian has forgotten the Jehovah's Witness idioms.
Oh my God. No. But you know what? That was like always what I was told. So yeah. Anyway,
I've thankfully drained my brain from a good large portion of them. I've replaced them with things like
how do I drain my brain?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Smart.
What you do is you just fill it with other things, and then over time all that shit gets squished out of your brain, and then one day you go, "Oh, I fucking totally forgot all about that."
Yeah. That's true. Like the whole Jinx. Somebody brought up Jinx the other day, and I was like, "Oh, that's another one. I forgot about Jinx. Can't say Jinx. It's just so funny."
I have the same thing with bless you, like when someone sneezes. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you say it, or do you get weirded out by it?
I had to like teach myself to say it. Like I would say it to myself when I sneezed. I'd be like, "Oh, bless me," or it's like something. I don't know, because I always heard everyone else do it, so I was like, "Oh, that's just like a nice thing to do. I should do it."
Right.
Right.
We're just trained to respond when someone sneezes.
Right.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a old superstition, and now it's just kind of like one of those social gestures that nobody really means. Nobody really means, and it's like if you say, "Hey, how you doing?" You don't necessarily mean like tell me your life story. It's just like, I'm alive right now. Great, we're both alive. Keep it rolling. So LOH. Should I maybe pull up? I could pull up information about Japan, or you could Google it. But basically, Japan is cracking down on high control religion. Part of it, I think, is being spurred from the Unification Church, the Moonies, because one of their members killed a prime minister over in Japan.
Oh, right.
And then they really found out how much extortion was going on, and people were going bankrupt. And that's the reason why this guy shot the prime minister. Not that I'm not condoning. I'm telling you what happened, what led up to it. And so
the shooter's mother is involved in the Moonies. So he was
He was part of the family.
Yeah.
It's like if you're raised in it, you know how it is. You might not be baptized, you might not be part of it, but you're still like,
it still affects you.
It still affects your life. And he probably was, and he probably was so broke because like they were being extorted for money.
His whole family's inheritance went to the Mooney Church. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. Like how, like, that's really just disgusting. But yeah, because of incidences like that, violence, and then also realizing that high control religions, there's no way out. they're just taking a stand against it. Like if there was like 4 principles, it was like psychological abuse, physical abuse, financial, I can't remember, but if it was like coercion tactics to keep you in it, even hell, like they're going to start cracking down on it. Yeah, you should really Google it. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I forgot I could put comments up here, y'all.
It's unfortunate that like what happened in Thornton should be looked at. It should get the same conversation started over here, because there's so many inconsistencies that only we would notice in that story that are directly related to being a Jehovah's Witness. You know, like specifically, this Apodeka tried to come back to the Kingdom Hall, and they said in the news story that he was not welcome in the Kingdom Hall anymore. And then they said on Christmas Eve, he had contacted the Kingdom Hall to try to come back, and they told him to talk to an elder.
Right.
It didn't help. Like whatever he had going on was made much worse because of the organization.
Right.
And
the guy probably needed help.
People lost their lives because mental health support is looked down on in the organization. I don't know if they've ever flat out said you can't, but I know you shouldn't. Like if you want to be a Jehovah's Witness, I know that you'll have a harder time doing it if they find out you are going to see a therapist.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, when I grew up, they never really, I just wanted to pull that up on screen while we were talking to show that.
I didn't mean to jump so far off subject, but
no, you didn't have, no, it doesn't.
I feel like it's the same thing. Like, I feel like we all need attention on this stuff.
We're here to talk about all of this because it really all ties in together. Maybe to other people, they're probably like, boy, this is a lot of information. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But for us who, are the outside now looking in, we know exactly how this is all intertwined together. Yeah, no worries, Mark. I just wanted to show you that. They're trying to help some of the victims because all of their money has been stolen by this church through coercive tactics.
Good choice of word.
And I think
it's extortion.
And there's also the aspect of, particularly with ex-JWs and former Moonies in Japan who are speaking out, they are talking about abusive, like physical abuse from their parents growing up,
right,
punishment. As it translates to whipping and stuff like that. So beating children is something that ex-JWs in Japan are speaking out about. So, and that's
good.
And that's something the government of Japan is taking note of. So.
I'm so thankful that the governments are finally starting to take a look at that because, we've known for a very long time that this stuff has been happening, but it's just difficult trying to get the media coverage around it. I just wanted to I found this was my screenshot of the website that I was looking at today. Whoopsies. But here we go. So here so they're looking at making some guidelines, so that way these religions know what it's hitting for, like what's around the corner. So it's going to stipulate 4 types of abuse: physical, sexual, neglect, and psychological. Okay, so not financial, I'm sorry. But I think that is all part of it. They're obviously recognizing that this is all goes hand in hand when it comes to high control religion. Here you go. Telling them to go to hell. That's going to be a problem.
That's us. Just not hell, but it's the same thing.
Armageddon. Yeah. Armagoobin. Yeah. Good old Armagoobin. I'm not sure if okay, that was basically, I just wanted to show you that part. So yeah, if anybody's looking to do some looking into that, I kind of feel like there's a possibility that Japan's going to be next on the horizon for the JWs. I
So
don't. Is
what
that king
happens
of
to that
the
prophecy? What happens to
east?
that prophecy if they're the first religion that's vanquished, and they were supposed to be the last one?
That's exactly what I say. That is exactly what I say. I'm like, this is your own theology. You teach everyone that
You blew it like, on every
everyone is
level.
going to come after the other religions first and then come to you. I think they even verbatim say that in like the bunker videos. I think
Yep.
that's actually a literal line that someone says, like, oh, when our message turned
Oh,
from like good to judgment, and everything like that, the government's turned on us.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, you can't even keep up with your own
wow.
story.
That's so funny. That's a good catch. I hadn't thought about that. Oh, and those bunker videos are something else. Like
But
those
They
are
do
yeah,
quite.
deserve
I
to be
couldn't
shut
imagine
down
being a
also.
kid. Yeah, that like
it's
I
so
have
bad.
to imagine. I hope that these governments like are getting this information and going, "Oh wow, like we really need to
Yeah.
start taking a look at this."
You know,
I can't
people
imagine
say like
ignoring it.
I would never support a ban on the Watchtower, and I totally would, because I'm not saying imprison Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mm.
I'm saying ban the Jehovah's Witnesses. We were never Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, it's just the governing body and the people who are complicit, the people who
Well,
deserve
they're not
to
going to get
go
money
away
anymore.
from it.
Yeah.
But like, no, ban the Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, don't
I
let these people suffer. So
I'm
make the
not a
Jehovah's
fan.
Witnesses not exist.
I'm definitely not a fan of the organization. That's what I don't like. I take issue with they're just
To play
blatant.
devil's advocate on that, I mean, humans are weird reactionary creatures when it comes to something that a government says is bad, or even just media says is bad, because the Watchtower has been getting bad press in Spain because they are attacking a former witness support group through a lawsuit. But because of the negative news stories in Spain, there has been vandalism against Kingdom Halls, and it
Yeah, I've
does
seen that.
scare Jehovah's Witnesses, the people who attend them. So society has to be careful of demonizing people because other people will act irrationally towards them, like they're a boogeyman now. But yeah, that's part of, I think, the activism goal is separating Watchtower from Jehovah's Witnesses.
The organization
Yeah.
has to go. There's nothing wrong with
Right.
the people
Yeah,
of
the
them being
organization
taken advantage of.
Yeah, the organization that controls 8 million people's lives,
Yeah.
different from those people who have the freedom to worship however they want, but they're controlled in how they do that right now. So,
Right.
anyway,
if there was an orthodoxy, that it would be completely different. Like, I mean, I still wouldn't like their teachings. Like I'd tell them like, I don't agree, but it's the orthodoxy that just is ridiculous. And it's what's ultimately, I'm hoping is going to bring them to their own demise. Like you've all said, because they're really just biting their own tail. They're a dog going back to its own vomit. I like to use their sayings against them when I can.
Right.
Yep. It's all them. Like all of it is going to happen to them and only to them. And that's what I feel like is scary, is there almost has to be an Armageddon. And if we can
bring it,
it's the same thing as what's happening in Iran. If you can say these people's names enough,
right,
that it then becomes a mark, it slows it down at least, and you just got to keep hoping that something bigger gives. Like, we all just have to keep doing what we're doing. Yeah, it's a propaganda tool, totally. But
yeah,
look at what they're hiding.
Right. Well, they have so much to hide. So I'm actually kind of surprised that it took them to 2019 to figure it out that they needed this PR tool. But I mean, I guess it's better late than never. Watchtower. But I like how you guys mentioned, like, specifically, that's what I try to do with most of my videos, which I probably repeat myself a lot because I will specifically say Jehovah's Witness organization, because I do want to make that determination that I'm not speaking just about, you know, my family. I'm really kind of talking about the people who are generating this hateful kind of stuff
I think
behind
enough people
closed
have
doors.
suffered already. Like, there doesn't need to be more suffering for the Watchtower to end. But
100%.
if it's left up to them, it will be.
You know what, guys? If you don't mind, I mean, you can, if you have something to say, bring it up. But I actually I'm going to pull to a certain point in the video, and I want y'all to hear something about how they redirect Jehovah's Spirit. You'll notice it immediately, but I just thought it was really freaking sneaky how they
you can
continuously
redirect?
twist. Yeah, you didn't know
the
that?
wheels, you know, the wheels are kind of like a ball.
A mirror prism.
Yeah, you just.
What, you didn't know that was possible? Like, what's
Everybody's
the
got
matter
to run
with
to one
you?
side real fast.
I mean, when you make up your own rules and it's just all made
like
up,
Calvin
I guess
Ball.
you can do whatever you want.
Okay, here we go. All right, this is like I think this is like 2 minutes long, but he's going to talk about Jehovah's Spirit, and eventually it's going to lead to, well, we know exactly where it's going to lead to. The direction is going to come from exactly where we know it's coming from. All right, let me get this up here. Boobity boop. Which one is it? I have so many freaking tabs. I'm trying to close them as I go, but you'd think I'd be better organized than this. But
you're just so relatable is all.
Yeah. Oh, very relatable. Okay, here we go.
Macedonia, we remember that the Spirit stopped them from making
And of course, the
visits,
continuous
staying in
scripture
cities.
quotes.
There, for the third time, Paul knocked on a door, and yes, it swung wide open.
Oh, just like
when
the
we look at our
JWs.
efforts,
Like it never happens in real life.
From the organization about what we should do, just having a general statement that we showed you, we realized Jehovah was blessing that. For that period of time, there was an incredible blood. Jehovah had knocked open that door, knocked it down, and it was wide open for us.
Oh, knock it wide open.
Many thousands of positive media releases, some that got great attention and a great effect in the field.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've seen that the results for PID speak for themselves. That door got knocked on and it got open. But just like Paul, there's other doors that had to be knocked on. And so now there's a new door to open.
Oh my God.
Back to the theme scripture for our discussion today and our whole quarterly meeting. This is what Jehovah says. Stand at the crossroads.
He's getting there. I promise. He's getting there to the good part.
So what do we see? We're at a crossroads, Matt. We are standing at the crossroads.
They're at a crossroads.
And we look back, Matt, on what has happened over nearly 4 years, and we have benefited from following the direction of the Spirit.
Are they in
Beetlejuice
like palace?
Appointed organization, following direction of the Holy Spirit on us. As
borrowing Scientology studio,
and we're at a new place.
Totally.
And we're happy to share that new place. And still, it's going to keep some questions open, but I think 90% of all questions will be answered today about the future of the Public Information Department. We should say that there are guidelines that we expect.
Okay, I think that was basically it. But what he says is he starts with like this crossroads and about how Jehovah's opened every single crossroad, like Jehovah's opened the door. They've known where they've needed to go. And then he takes it from being Jehovah's blessing, Jehovah's Spirit, and then he knocks it down to be the guidance of the governing body. Like it goes from being Jehovah's blessing and his Spirit that we're following, and then that's like it's on the same level of the governing body's guidance.
Well, you know, they've put in publications like you should listen to the governing body as if what they say came directly from Jehovah.
Yes.
Like they say this.
Oh yeah. They're absolutely equating themselves with God. They are one and the same.
Well, and you know, on paper they say we're not inspired,
right?
But what Hendricks, you know, the point you were bringing out about Hendricks said there, and the governing body, I forget which one, I think it was David Splain actually, had a part on a broadcast where he kind of outlined how the governing body is led by Jehovah's Spirit. And what they do is they try something. And if it's successful, it's blessed by Jehovah. And they continue down that path. Very, very convenient.
We're going to throw this poop at this wall.
It's like, yeah.
And if it lands like in the crack, it's new light.
Most people say spaghetti.
I swallowed my own spit.
Oh my God.
It's like a monkey, just like.
It's
yeah.
worse, man.
I mean, it's the same thing as, anytime they highlight evidence of Jehovah's blessing is, oh, this building was constructed or this permit was given. It's like, is Jehovah blessing Google and Apple when they construct a new compound?
Right.
It's $1 billion corporation where
Elon thinks so.
Tons of volunteers are working towards a goal. So of course things are going to happen, but
is Jehovah blessing me for my family not talking to me in decades almost now?
Please.
Like, is Jehovah blessing them by like our family? Like even for them that's in, our family is not the same. So like where's the blessing? Like other than the tippy top, like getting a new kingdom.
It seems to be it's always right. It seems to be always a blessing of some kind of money or property, some kind of grab, some kind of big grab for the Jehovah's Witnesses display. Look at all that we have. Look at what Jehovah has blessed us with. They are no different than the people that they've claimed to preach against.
Like bragging.
Televangelists. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're
prosperity.
Exactly.
Preachers.
Prosperity. Yeah. It's the prosperity gospel. They're televangelists. I mean, it was everything they didn't want to be. And here they are. Hey, Gail. How you doing?
Yeah, everything I recall growing up not being something they would ever do. I remember asking my mom one time, these people, the brothers on the hall giving talks or some circuit overseer or whatever. I'm like, this is so amazing. It sounds so convincing. I mean, it was... Right. Guy was probably just talking in circles, but I was like, he sounds great. Why doesn't he go and debate these other priests and preachers and stuff? I'm like, this is amazing stuff.
That would be funny. It'd be on TV.
So hilarious.
Well, I got shut down so fast. I'm like, I don't know. It still seems like a good idea. I mean, And then later on, when it was time for me to actually do stuff out in service and say things to people, God. And then I realized I don't actually know any of this stuff. None of this stuff makes any sense. I can't explain it. If anybody asks me a question, please don't ask me any questions. I don't want to actually explain any of this to anybody, because then I started realizing it's just nonsense.
Yeah, I was always uncomfortable talking about it in school. It was always uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
It was not my thing.
Tough. Yeah, school was pretty tough.
How many people ate the cupcakes?
I never did.
The birthday cupcakes?
I did. One time.
Tell me how you felt. Tell me how you felt about it.
I didn't know. I was so young. I didn't know. I forgot or something. I was at daycare. And so one of the girls had a birthday, cupcakes, everything. I came home and I was like, oh my God, I ate a cupcake. It was some girl's thing we sang. And my mom was devastated. She's like, I can't believe you did this.
The sovereign of the universe said that.
Did you cut a piece of John the Baptist's hair off his head on that platter when you did that? As a souvenir?
Jezebel.
I was a kid, so it's how was I supposed to know?
No.
And even still, my goodness, the fact that they put out these videos with these poor little kids who are just made to feel so guilty for just wanting what if they're diabetic? What if they need a little sugar? You would want the kid to die. Yeah, we already know that you obviously would want the kid to die. So yeah, there is no option. You just don't eat a cupcake. It's so dumb.
I'm so sorry, girl. That's the one thing that gets me the most upset are the Caleb and Sophia videos. Because I have a niece. Oh my God. I have a niece and she's like, yeah, she's really young. And my parents like send me pictures of her sometimes and she just glued to it. Like, oh, I want my Caleb and Sophia. I want to see Caleb. And always talking about it. And it just like, it's like all the worst aspects of my childhood have been drawn and animated and put happy music behind them. And like, that's just normal to her now. That's going to be her life. Because it's what she's been taught.
Caleb and Sophia are the public information department for kids.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Definitely. Yeah.
Same thing. Yep.
Exactly.
Ooh, I need a fire. I need to like. That was like a flame comment, like right there. Yes.
You know, this organization is no good. It gets a low F on every level that it could be measured on. It's absolutely the worst. They're not funny, like lame. It's really bad. Like it's really amazing that I was a part of it. Like it's hard for me to wrap my brain around.
I know.
That
sometimes I'm like
10 years ago, I fully believed this stuff. I would to be like doing this today. Oh my gosh. And not watching myself, my skin melt off my bones. Nope.
Try again.
And they have to vote
maybe
to the majority to read what the 8-ball said. So.
Yes.
And there better not be beautiful girls in that department.
Yeah. That's not healthy.
The governing body
is not healthy. How dare we?
They can't stop. They can't help themselves.
That women comment was especially gross to me. Just like in looking at some of that PID information, they had a lot of like, oh, we want to showcase the women on the LDC. We want to showcase women working on our construction projects. We have this X concentration of women, and they're like trying to push that in like some feminist angle, because that's like, it's like basically the same thing as like all these corporations doing like, oh, we, you know, LGBTQ Pride Month, everything is rainbow colored and everything. It's the same thing as them doing like pushing for feminism, and then turning around, if you actually are a Jehovah's Witness woman, you're a second-class citizen. You're told that you're supposed to be in subjection to men, and it's okay for your husband to abuse you. It was so frustrating to me. I was like, can you even be serious? They actually had a woman giving that part of the presentation. I've never seen a woman give a presentation for Watchtower anything.
Yeah,
like it was so strange.
Ryan, Google Jehovah's Witness women construction on the news, and you'll find puff pieces right now that she's talking about.
No shot. That's so awful.
Oh yeah. The video, they're talking about the puff pieces that they have scheduled, and they're out right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, one of them is called "Women Play a Key Role in Construction of Bel Air Kingdom Hall." So they'll use that same template at every local Kingdom Hall.
That's so
I heard that. Yeah.
And they'll just
oh my! I keep
women.
getting a bunch of the destruction that just happened at the Kingdom Hall. Wait, tell me exactly what to type. Maybe it's because I'm in a different browser.
Oh, you're talking about this article that's right on JW.org.
So yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, on JW.org? Yeah, I'm sorry.
On Google News.
Yeah, it was the first Google. It was the first Google.
Oh, Google News.
Sorry.
No, y'all, I'm getting like 2 DEAD. Like, I'm not getting good news. What is up with that?
Jehovah's Witness, women play a key role in construction. That'll bring up.
Okay, I put Jehovah's Witness construction, women news. Maybe it wasn't a good combination. Okay, Jehovah's Witness, women play a key role construction.
They're so like they don't.
There we go.
That is such a blatant lie.
Real life. Like, this is what I was saying at the beginning. Like, understand what they say and what they are opposite. This is a lie. They do not elevate women in the organization. That's false.
No, absolutely. Is there a picture here? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to scroll down to a picture.
Yeah.
Oh boy, wow. And I wonder if there are women. I was gonna say I bet you there aren't, but I wonder if there are women who are actually running these crews. Like is there one who's the construction?
Well, they're running out of people now, so maybe like
Well, there's that.
You know, there's very talented sisters who work on Kingdom Hall.
Right?
Mhm.
I wouldn't say they definitely aren't ever overseers or leads, but
Right.
they're definitely
They do the work. Yeah.
They
They definitely do the work. Yeah. My wife hung
Right.
drywall at Quick Bills.
Yeah.
You know, that was her thing. So
Right. I come from a construction background, but I know like who I am as a person. I'm like very like get up and get at 'em. So
Mhm.
like I would want to be like some kind of for what do they call them? Former
former Jehovah's Witnesses
for
not being
I do want to be a former Jehovah's Witness, that's for sure. But I would want to, and I wonder if they allow, like Ron was saying, so they can do some things, but they're not going to be given super high positions.
There's
They'll be looked
women
down.
that do the book counter now, so maybe. I mean,
I guess
anything is possible at this point.
Yeah,
what's
you're right.
interesting? There's one more PID video that I didn't release publicly to everyone, but Ryan, you actually have a copy of it.
Oh, do I? Okay.
It was a PID seminar in the Philippines that someone put on YouTube. Like they shared it live on YouTube for volunteers in the Philippines to watch it, and they accidentally left it up on YouTube, and I captured it.
Oh, no way.
Oh, whoa.
But what was really interesting is sisters were allowed in this seminar to run parts of the meeting to explain how to write these articles in their localities. So it was like first time I'd ever seen that in person. Like, you know, women, when it comes to a non-theocratic aspect of business for Watchtower, women can do pretty amazing things. You know, they're very capable. Some of them maybe went to school for specific things. And
you're being funny.
But anyway.
I have if you want me to pull it up, if you tell me what it is, I could play it or not.
It might not be that interesting, and it's like 2 hours long.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Maybe if you review it sometime and you find something interesting. And sometimes they go between two different languages, so it gets confusing.
Oh my. Okay. But yeah, that might be just to see like that I think I might have saw somebody put that out there, that there was a woman that was actually running like a Zoom meeting or whatever. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was possible. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry, I wasn't that important when I was in there.
Well, it's like I think somebody said they're just they're exhausting their resources. Like they've lost so many people that they're literally forced to ask women to step up.
Yeah. I wonder if women are excited about that, or because I feel like I always wanted it, or if some are like, okay, you know what? Now we're only good enough because you don't have a man to do it. Oh, okay, I see how that is.
But for the ones that believe it's enough to like make
Hang
them
on.
say, see,
Oh, yeah.
see, it's not so bad. See,
Dangling
I can
that
do
carrot.
what I want to. Yep. But
yeah,
I gotta get my mic real quick. There's no amount of reform that will ever change the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. In order for it to get better, it has to not exist.
What was that? Somebody had that comic on like Instagram and Reddit recently of you know, like a meeting at Bethel where someone's like, you know, have we ever tried just, you know, trying to protect children? And then you see the guy getting kicked out of the top of the
no.
It was a pretty good comic.
Yeah, that's where they gotta start. They can't get that together.
You know, they're not the people. There have been people from inside trying to change it for decades. It can't be done.
No, I'm grateful for the leaders because this is what helps. Yep.
So what do you guys think? How are they going to deal with this leak? Like, do you think they have a process? Do they have like a department of spies who like have to?
I mean, everybody is
comb through keystrokes.
Like they're all spies in a way because the whole yes, we're all supposed to tattle on each other, and keep each other in line. So, I mean, in some way, they're all supposed to be spies. But yeah, no, that's a good question. I don't actually know.
Right. But are the spies doing their job, or are the spies maybe being a little more silent?
If my elders get a letter telling them to disfellowship me, then we'll know.
Then we'll have an idea. Dun dun dun. Oh, so PMO, if for those in the audience, because I do have some people who follow me who maybe aren't JWs, physically in, mentally out. Do you want to explain that, Kai? Would you want to explain like the different types of JW stances or whatever they're, I don't know what you call it.
There's a whole, there's pre-PMO
spectrum. There we go.
But yeah, so basically like people who are indoctrinated in the religion, going to meetings, going out in service, we'd call those people PMEs, or physically in, mentally in. And then we've also got people who are physically still inside the organization but have mentally disconnected from it. They're awake to the fact that it's a cult, and so we call those people physically in, mentally out, PMO. And then there's people like me who are POMO, like physically out, mentally out, totally don't have anything to do with the organization except for exposing them for their horrible crimes.
Snitching all day long. Absolutely.
Yep. So we had to create kind of our own language,
like codes.
It's the pure language.
Yeah. This is now the pure language. And there's honestly.
Pomies. There's no helping. I'm sorry.
Physically
out, mentally in. That's terrible.
That's a sad one.
That's really hard.
You know what? And I kind of feel like I was. No, actually, no, because I was still, even though I was never that. No, I was never that. Yeah, I feel bad for them. I wish they would just do a little Google searching, but they're probably too afraid to do that. So they're kind of just stuck in this
think they're being spied on all the time. Yeah. Like that's it, right? Like you just feel like somebody's always watching.
Yep.
I totally remember that. Like I looked at Scientology videos for 5 months and like flirting with like the Jehovah's Witness videos that would be in like the down feed, but I never would watch them. But I knew it was the same, but I felt like as soon as I clicked on it, that information was going to get back to somebody else. So
that's so interesting. I remember when I was younger, I used to be really interested in like cult documentaries, like Scientology, like the FLDS, and I was just so fascinated with it, and I never put those connections together until like way later in my life. But it is like wild. They're a lot of the time like they have all the same tactics that Watchtower uses, like exactly.
Well, I think that I was. No, go ahead, Dr. Time Waster. I saw you were going to say something.
I was just going to agree. When I got disfellowshipped, I went to community college. It was the best decision I ever made, and I made really good friends with another ex-Mormon, and we had a great time, like commiserating, because I didn't have any ex-JWs to talk to either, and so it was really nice to kind of have somebody else who's like, oh yeah, you guys did weird things too, and then we compare weird stuff that we grew up doing, and that was just really helpful to have.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I was just going to say, like, because you mentioned the TV shows, Kai, and like before I'd waken up, I had started to watch like the Leah Remini show, and I started to watch some of like the FLDS things, and I was like, and I would think in my head like they're similar, but no, we don't do that exactly. So I guess it's not a cult because we're way more biblical. We're way more biblical than they are. So there's no way.
8 men. There's 8 men in the governing body. There's not one man.
Right. And then when it really finally hit me that no, it's the same tactics. It's cultastic tactics. It's what they do. Yeah, it was just kind of flooring to now look back at the shows when I was watching them when I was still having that cult mentality, and now looking at it like oh my God, there's so much more that I didn't even pick up on because I was just still in it. Anyway,
in La La Land,
yeah, still in La La Land. The indoctrination is designed to make you police yourself. Yeah, it really is. I hate to say it, but it is brilliant. It's
very
really
1984. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, a book I
and
read
now
in my
they-
community college classes.
There you
and I
go.
was like, shit.
I've
and
heard
now
that's
they
a good
have
one. I
now
need
they have a
to.
propaganda department. Like, we're here now.
Big brother.
Here we are. Yeah, full circle. Like they finally completed like this circle of destruction. Like I think like if I could put it on like a snake eating its own tail, like we'd finally like complete. Yeah, thank you. I feel like it's finally complete. Like we're seeing it happen. Now it's just a matter of time before like there's nothing left of it but some teeth. I always say the weirdest analogies. I'm sorry. But I mean,
Mix and match. It's all right.
I'm like, it's not good stuff, like it's not like great news. Like this all sucks, but I'm just glad that I'm living to see like the crumblings and the foundation cracks and coming down. I mean, they're trying to put it together. They're really doing, they got a lot of money to throw at it. They've got that. But where they're going to go, I guess that's going to be what we're waiting to see.
Yeah.
Right before Jim Jones moved everybody to Guyana, there was a huge revelation of some bad information that came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to bring doom and gloom, but they own a lot of land.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
And they
more than we know.
This will shake off a lot of witnesses. The people who are left are people who will do anything to keep the organization where they feel like it's supposed to be. So while it's very awesome to see like it's being exposed, like for what it is. It's not just hall cleanings and knocking on doors on Saturday.
There's still fallout.
Yeah, there is, like it's almost like it puts a bigger target because they can't hurt us anymore. But they know that in real life, like we're the good guys. Like we don't want to see anybody suffer. But
we really don't.
They can make them suffer worse. And if that's all they have, they'll get really good at it.
They got
desperation.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Oh, sorry. I was just going to say about the question, but what were you saying, Ron? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to make a comment about keeping perspective of. Let me get my thoughts together. Like, who is this JW PR really targeting, and who is it having the biggest impact on? It's having the biggest impact on news feeds and JWs.
Right.
The negative news stories, the true news stories that are getting told, they might wake up some people who are Jehovah's Witnesses, but what it really does, what the Watchtower is really afraid of, is getting a reputation, a well-deserved reputation of protecting pedophiles, of not protecting children. And the general population is more aware of it than Jehovah's Witnesses are. Mm-hmm. So when a Jehovah's Witness comes to their door or sees them on the sidewalk, they're going to say, oh, those people have a child abuse problem, or those people, they shun their families and they don't care, about suicides or, any of that stuff. It's, and these poor kids who are PMO, Jehovah's Witness kids have access to the internet like never before in generations.
Yeah.
They learn the truth about the truth so early these days. It's sad. I mean, I feel for them. I'm glad that they
got to do it for as long as they do.
They're in a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's what this PR department is trying to stop the bleeding on, is the public perception of Jehovah's Witnesses.
I feel like the spring is sprung at this point.
Yeah, like, you can't put that back in the bottle.
They have so many fingers on the dam right now. Like
they're hemorrhaging so hard, they're gonna need a blood transfusion.
Do you need a pad, J-Dub? Do you need a diva cup?
Oh Lord, that cup runneth over.
Speaking of blood transfusions,
burn, baby.
If you without education keep a blood transfusion from your child, that is not a declaration of that child's faith. That is you performing some old time religion
for other people to see.
Yep.
It's nothing but public opinion of
you're
how
putting
It's all about
you're
perception and what
on
other
an
people
on an
perceive
altar.
of you.
And
They
so
care more about how they look.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that the Jehovah's Witnesses have to talk about if they want to be out in front of everybody. There's a lot of conversations they have to have, and I don't think that they're prepared for it. I know they're not prepared for it.
You reminded me of something I wanted to say earlier when you were talking about this poor couple in Colorado, that this terrible incident that happened at that Thornton Kingdom Hall. Is with Jehovah's Witnesses, with Watchtower being so focused on their image, their 1950s white American image of the organization. Jehovah's Witnesses have this. They claim to be the most loving, caring people on earth. But what happens when someone has an addiction problem or has a legitimate problem where they need a community of people? Jehovah's Witnesses don't help those people.
They got no answers for them.
Jehovah's Witnesses shoot their wounded in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
Go to more meetings. You're depressed, pray more.
You take away their higher support system when they need it the most.
Yeah, exactly.
At your lowest, you are kicked like a dog. Like you're treated worse than trash. You are taken to the curb. You are called former. You are former. You don't get that title. You do not keep the reputation. You are not one of us. And just like that, your image can be tarnished and all that you've done, not
gone.
Nothing. Done.
I'm not defending this guy who it looks like allegedly pulled off this.
Yeah.
But imagine having these thoughts the last day of your life. You're having these thoughts of what you're going to do. And all you can think to do is call somebody from the Kingdom Hall and say, please accept me.
Right.
And they say, call an elder. I can't talk to you. Call an elder. I don't know that I don't believe that there's anything that the organization can do to make anybody better. But what if? Compassion. What if somebody had said, "Hey, come sit at my house for a little bit. Come sit with me. Come sit on my porch, and let's just talk. I have nothing to offer you. I'm not a medical professional. Let's just sit and talk. And after we sit and talk, maybe I'll call the hospital for you. Hey, instead of telling you that to call an elder, maybe I'll call somebody and have them perform a wellness check on your house."
Seriously.
These are things that can never cross your mind as a Jehovah's Witness. I bet you the person that he called 3 other Jehovah's Witnesses when they got off the phone and said, "You will never believe he called me and he was telling me all this stuff, and I told him to talk to the elders." And
that's so true.
No, and I hope that's not the case. But if that is the case, I hope you have to think about that until you try to find a way to make it right.
It's deplorable, and I'm really sorry. Mental health. That is exactly what they say to people. You are a contamination. You are a stumbling block. You are soiling. You are a leper. Exactly. And I don't know, y'all. Like I only have tolerance for people who are abusive. Like that's where I see get by. You need to get help. Until you do, adios. But for every other Joe Schmo out there who's just trying to make it, just trying to feed their family, like you want to kick them out when they're pregnant. me, for instance, when somebody's really at a very vulnerable time, you're just, bye, don't care, see ya.
That's terrible. I'm sorry, Ryan.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, what kind of social services do Jehovah's Witnesses have?
None.
Gatherings.
And
the electric slide.
Yeah. What?
How did you do?
And like, not even what kind of programs or social help do they have, but what kind of knowledge do they have?
Even less.
What resources are out there to help people who are struggling? Like, not even the resources to direct them where to get proper help.
No,
they don't offer proper information, so they can't provide proper help.
Did you know that elders were recently given a letter talking about how to help witnesses who are like they've lost their job, they're dealing with COVID fallout and all that stuff. The resources that the organization has provided to its own members for like financial assistance or social programs is a list that the elders can download a PDF of government programs of how to get help.
And that organization has $1 billion and access.
No, I'm not surprised. Stop
countless resources.
Yeah, they have no legitimate charitable social programs that help people.
How are they collecting money?
Even their own members.
How?
Real estate.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, how are they legally allowed to get money from grants?
Because they don't actually look into it. There's so many people asking for it. And if you're a sanctioned religion with many members, they're probably just going to assume, of course you're going to.
Yeah, you jump in the Christian train.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of course you will.
Blend in, yeah.
You know one of the most disgusting, bringing it all back to PID and Robert Hendricks, one of the most disgusting examples of this I saw in the last year was there was a volcano eruption. Maybe it was last year, but I found it this year. There was a volcano eruption happening in St. Vincent or St. Lucia. And those islands are very close to each other. And in the middle of a volcanic eruption where a big portion of the island is being evacuated, Robert Hendricks zoomed in from New York to talk on St. Lucian media about all the wonderful things Jehovah's Witnesses are doing for their members to get off of the island. Yep. And then direct them to JW.org and getting your go bags and all that shit. It was disgusting. And this was like on their national news in that
That's
island.
a flex.
That is a flex. That's the rich man flexing in front of the poor man.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take you with me if you're a Jehovah's Witness.
That's, oh my goodness. I'm so angry. It's just like the same stuff where they're on the border with like the Ukraine and they're only helping Jehovah's Witnesses. It's the same story. And it's the stuff I used to wonder about as a kid, like all the things that we do to help Jehovah's people. Like the only help is because we're doing it. Like it's not coming from anywhere, but the money we've gathered, the time that we've put together and the resources, like it's not coming downstream. I would love to see like Jehovah's organization, if you're spending that much money on your people, please show us your receipts.
They'll never do it.
Come on, Hendricks.
Yeah.
Show us your receipts. Bet you won't. Bet you can't. Bet you don't.
All right. Can I ask one more Colorado question?
Colorado question coming right up. Do it. Sorry.
So they said the first day that there was one person in the Kingdom Hall at 9, and the meeting started at 9:30. If there was one person in the Kingdom Hall at 9 and the meeting started at 9:30, do you know that you would have a local needs part that next service meeting about making sure you're on time for the meeting? Right. There were people just barely getting there when the stuff was unfolding in the parking lot.
I thought there was like 2 people inside.
The next day they said it was 2 people inside. Okay. One person grabbed a fire extinguisher because the bomb was smoking and the other person called 911. But still, 2 people in a Kingdom Hall
and not looking so
after
good.
9:00 for a 9:30 meeting.
There'd at least be like a few families there. When I would go to the Kingdom Hall, there would be a few families there already, or if not
Old
more.
people would be there already.
Yeah, half hour
attendance
is like
just really that bad.
Well, that's what I think.
So it went
Yeah,
on 5 more people. Like, what was it?
yeah.
I
exactly.
personally would like to believe that this man or this couple intentionally did not want to harm people. I hope that was the case, because it definitely, I mean, if they threw that in to a crowded room, a fire extinguisher couldn't have gotten there, and it could have been a lot worse. So I'm very thankful that
Both places he put bombs were mostly empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he could have showed up in the middle of the meeting.
He could have showed up in the middle of the meeting. They didn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
I don't know
wanted to
about
send
you,
a message.
You know, I when people on social media or on news article are commenting about this, and witnesses are getting real defensive about ex-witnesses commenting on it, I hope people understand that we love Jehovah's Witnesses. We love the people.
Of course.
They're families.
When I saw the headline that an active shooter situation was happening at a Kingdom Hall, Colorado, I had a pit in my stomach.
Yeah.
That is not what any of us want to see happen.
No, of course not. I hate to see that, but my fear is it will continue to happen because these dudes with power think that we are crap. And honestly, even you dudes, like they don't care what you think either, honestly.
No.
As long as you're bigging them up and like agreeing with everything that they say, like you're good. But step out of line and ask too many questions, like you're the next one taken out to the curb.
It'll cut down on hall crashes.
If
they keep this in the news cycle, I wouldn't go into a Kingdom Hall because anybody can say anything now. So that's food for thought for folks who do that, because I do feel like that's powerful activism too. But I worry about the safety of it now.
Yeah.
I don't ever somebody's going to get hurt in a Kingdom Hall and or at an assembly. Because that's also what Hendricks mentions.
Yes.
You know, in this whole press package about this same thing. That was one of the more damning videos, even without anything happening.
Yeah.
The words that he used, you know, this angelic protection that exists at assemblies. It's not true. That is
not real.
I went to an assembly with a lifetime registrant that wasn't attendant. That was the only face that my kids would have known in an emergency.
Oh.
There is no hedge in an assembly hall when there are child abusers who roam free. A lot of them actually registered, because you're so cloistered inside of this organization, you can't do research that keeps your family safe. You don't know who you're around. So, like, these are the things that the PID is suppressing.
Well, they definitely don't want to talk about the child abuse. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's very uncomfortable.
No.
I mean,
that's one of the things they kind
for
of
all of us to work through. It's
I hate
uncomfortable
it.
for us to deal with it.
It's worse to go through it. I'll tell you that much. Like,
right, yeah.
Oh gosh.
But we all know that not talking about it isn't going to solve anything either. Pretending it didn't happen isn't going to fix the issue. And here's what I get at. I think that when you get down to it and you talk to people, they will admit that, yes, these things do happen. They have to, right? We're all human, right?
Right. Bad stuff happens.
And they can justify that part of it. And that's fine, right? Like, duh, we're all human. And that does happen everywhere. There isn't just one religion where this happens, right? But we know what kinds of institutions it happens more often in, because we can figure that out. There's so much data out there to know it. But ultimately, it always comes down to this. they're never going to take responsibility for their contribution to the harm, because their perspective is, no matter what, it's always for the greater good of serving Jehovah or doing the loyalty thing, which I still don't get. But that's ultimately what it will all come down to. They'll even admit to it, but they'll never admit to it, because they'll never take the responsibility that goes with admitting that they have been contributing. Their policies have been contributing, just everything about the way we were raised, being around pedophiles and then being in the church and then being told redemption, come back to us. Well, of course, those people are going to want to go where people are going to tell them that they can be good people again. And I understand that, but that's not the way you don't put them in a room full of other children and then tell everybody, shh, just don't.
There's no
just
solutions.
don't talk about it.
Or putting you in front of your abuser in a judicial committee and making you describe to him what he did to you.
Because it's more important we don't have a false witness than to accidentally put somebody under the radar light for maybe doing something absolutely horrid.
Let the police take care of it. If you can't handle it, give it to law enforcement.
Yeah.
You obviously can't handle it.
No. But you have Stephen Lett, who goes on in two separate months and says all babies are enemies of God. And then at a broadcast tells possibly currently being abused children in Jehovah's Witnesses who are watching their TV programs that what's happening to you is a lie from apostates. I mean, and that's disgusting. It's not that they can't admit it and ask for an apology. It's that they continue to double down on denying that there is any kind of issue. And if you speak out, you will be labeled an apostate by your friends, your family, your congregation, everybody.
Or just trying to stir up trouble.
Think about the people who you stopped talking to that got disfellowshipped and you never knew why. Think what if they said the things that we are, but you for me it was always disfellowship, fornicator. Disfellowship, fornicator.
Worst possible sin I can imagine.
Yeah. Like
why does it mean that every single thing that you do now I'm going to do? Like, I don't go to work and do every single thing that my coworker does. I don't do I get that birds of a feather flock together to some extent, but there's some extents where opposites attract and some people like level each other out. Like, relationships are dynamic and I'm an intelligent person and I don't want to do like hardcore drugs because I simply don't want to do hardcore drugs unless you want to give them to me for free. Then it's on the table. But otherwise, oh God, that'll probably get me in trouble. But you know what I'm saying? Like I have self-control. Like I'm cool. Put some trust in me to live my life and not think that I'm going to go do like some deplorable thing just because you had a cigarette at a concert the other night. Oh my God. What?
The comment just now is spot on because not every state has mandatory reporting for child abuse. The state that I currently live in does not. And I honestly, I was shocked when I found out because I just automatically assumed, of course, clergy would be responsible. They are in a position of power. They're in a position to, see things and be around things and have people come to them even for, hey, somebody did something to me. What do I do? I'm a mandatory reporter in my own job.
Right.
I work from home, by the way, and that's just still funny to me. But like, I have more regulations in the state where I live that I have to be a mandatory reporter. And of course, that is my privilege. I am happy to be a mandatory reporter because I think that is a human thing. Like we should all, as human beings, be looking out for everyone, right? Yeah. And if anyone comes forward and says, I have a problem and it's of such a serious nature, we should all be willing to do it. And I just think it's absolutely bonkers that they are comfortable hiding behind their doctrine that says, well, we just don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that.
Right. Because they don't have to. And I've actually been doing a lot of research about this. I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around it. But yeah, so not everybody has to report when it comes to like the clergy penitent law. They don't have to report if they've been told about some kind of abuse. And now there are states who give them, who will give them amnesty so they can report, like they won't get any like kind of
no repercussions. Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't think, but yeah, won't be any repercussions, so they can report it. But even when people have no repercussions, they still won't report it.
Yeah, I'm glad this topic got brought up from Lo and Dr. Time Waster and you, because it's one of those things that I think, I mean, how many of us are familiar with politics? I'm not. Not in the way a lot of people who were not raised Jehovah's Witnesses would be.
Politics is evil.
But I think it is an important part of activism is to talk with legislators, talk with local representatives.
That's how you make a difference. Absolutely.
Talk with ex-Mormon groups or ex-Catholic abuse support groups. If you can get people coming together to change these laws, to close the loopholes that the big, powerful churches paid to get these loopholes into the law, it can change. And it can be that Watchtower and every other religion is forced to be a mandated reporter. I mean, laws can change, and it takes people doing it. So I think it's an important aspect of, and people are working on it, but it's hopefully there's more.
So this is in the Shepherd the Flock book. Do you think that a religious organization should not pay taxes if they believe that footage of child abuse that is passed around for pleasure is not only not a crime, but it's also not child abuse?
Yeah, it's disgusting. The fact that isn't an automatic disfellowshipping is insane.
Wait,
yeah.
I misunderstood this.
Strong counseling.
Yeah, so in the current version of the Shepherd and Flock of God, the Elder's Manual, is specifically said that child's pornography is not viewed by a congregation as child abuse. And if a person is found out to be watching child pornography, downloading it, or sharing it, it does not necessarily mean that a judicial committee has to be formed.
They should be strongly
counseled. Suffice.
This is in their writing from the elders in black and white.
And I catch that.
And here's one thing. If it was the policy that if an elder learned that a member is watching child pornography and they had to form a judicial committee, guess what happens? Records get kept. So the fact is, it seems they don't want records to be started when they find out a member has been viewing child pornography. Because child pornography is child abuse. If
how can it not be?
Yeah.
And illegal.
I mean, there have been stories in the news within the last 2 years of elders being arrested by internet sleuths who made reports to the FBI, and they just swooped in and arrested these elders and other Jehovah's Witnesses for this terrible crime. And Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe it's even a sin worthy of kicking them out of the congregation.
It's ridiculous.
I believe it's very scary to have missionaries in other countries.
Oh my God.
When you can't keep this stuff in order. And when you remember a few years ago, Jesus Cano, the Bethelite that was flying back and forth to Chicago to proposition boys in the O'Hare airport. They found a lot of data, a lot of hard drives, a lot of data of him with young men from here all the way to the Caribbean. And this was a Bethelite. So a Bethelite can move through your area with impunity if you're a current Jehovah's Witness.
I never
And
thought
people
about
will
that.
trust them explicitly. People will just, oh, they're
Yes.
part of this, part of the organization. Jehovah's Spirit, right on top of them.
There's a man. So this happened earlier this year. I felt happy to be part of it, where a bunch of us started harassing a person who's down in Nicaragua.
Yep.
He's a need grader in Nicaragua who had an Instagram account of like over 35,000 people following him, and he posts all these beautiful pictures of landscape and the Nicaraguan children and their families and everything. This man's name is William Briggs, and he is named in a lawsuit that was filed in New York last year against the Watchtower for abusing his stepdaughter in a Bethel room while working on videography for Bethel in the 90s. And this man is like, has full access to children in a foreign country and is using it for
exploitation.
Yeah, I mean, like, he had a massive following of witnesses following this account. I had 12 family members who followed this account. They have no idea that this man's a pedophile.
And no reason in their mind to ever look and wonder who this person is. Even though this information exists, they would plug their ears if you tried to tell them.
Yeah. But thankfully, enough ex-witnesses harassed him until he deleted his account, and I'm very proud of that.
You should be. That's awesome. And also,
very proud of everything.
It's very shocking how many murder suicides have happened with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
It's
whole family.
A considerable amount. You got the Kego Harbor lady. There was a family of 4 in South Carolina. A lot. Lori Vallow, I don't know if y'all remember her. She claimed to be a part of the 144,000. She murdered her kids and hid them and married some other cult guy. Like,
wow.
It's all coming out because the organization can no longer, it can't hide its stripes anymore.
It's not their fault. You can't blame them. Those people were crazy.
Right?
Plausible deniability.
I had an elder tell me one time when I confronted him about this guy was saying at the convention that was on the registry. He says, Jason, you know how it is when you're on drugs.
Oh, God.
And this was in defense of this man messing with his own.
You know how it is when you're on drugs?
You know how it is you're on drugs. You're not in your right mind.
I do?
Actually, no, I don't.
Wait, so what?
And also,
you shouldn't either.
Right, yeah. I don't think the fuck I do.
Yeah.
What?
Like,
surprised he just didn't blame that it was an item that he purchased from Goodwill. That's
seriously. You shouldn't have got that lamp at Goodwill.
Right? Oh man.
I had a bathroom that first night and I didn't even think about it. But
you got that lava lamp. Why'd you get that lava lamp? Possessed with demons.
I saw that troll doll in your kid's room.
Smurf.
You shouldn't have that troll
with the evil grin. You know, Smurfette must be a whore because she's with all the other Smurfs and she's the only female.
Do you guys want to hear something funny about trolls really quick?
Yeah, I do.
My younger sister, she was born with many disabilities, physical, mental disabilities, and she don't give a shit, right? She likes her little dolls and whatever. So my mom, she is just at the mercy of whatever my sister wants, right? Like, she goes through phases and she gets a doll and this is her favorite toy and she will throw a tantrum if she can't have her toy. She wants to take it everywhere. And at one point in time, we had nurses that would come into our home because she was really, really sick for a long time. And one of them, innocently brought a troll doll because it had hair that was all fuzzy, and my sister loved like tactile sensation. She put it in her mouth, and she had that troll doll in her mouth, and she's just licking it, drool on it, and she just loved it. We took it to the Kingdom Hall. So we brought a troll doll in the Kingdom Hall while my very disabled sister is sitting there with the doll just licking all over it. Nobody's gonna say anything because she's just this disabled kid who's drooling. And so we had a troll doll, and I think finally, like, somebody came up to my mom and said something about it. And so my mom made sure she didn't bring it to Kingdom Hall anymore. But I thought that was the funniest thing.
It's so ridiculous.
Isn't it though? That is just so silly that you can't let a child who needs to have some kind of they don't let children have any kind of toy to keep them preoccupied.
Yeah, they do, but not legal ones.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to be grim, but these people are monsters. They are ass backwards, and they're that bad. Like, I'm sorry, but they are.
There are absolutely some inside that are just, they're just not really good people. I mean, it takes all kinds, right? But they're the ones who are absolutely the most flexible and easier to kind of keep the rest in line with their.
They've put effort into like, being like devious. They've put a lot of effort into being devious.
They enjoy that authority position.
Issue. Yeah. Somebody's got to be in charge.
Something that strikes me about that is like being a witness very much is about like putting off a certain image. And I feel like people who are predators are very good at coming up with that image. They're very good at portraying themselves as normal, safe, polished, charismatic, friendly, helpful, all of those kinds of things that I feel like as a witness, you're kind of already trying to poise yourself to be anyway. So it's like the perfect environment for them just to blend in, be like everyone else.
And how many elders who turned out to be predators would people say, oh, what a privilege to go in service with an elder, to have special attention from an elder.
He used to spend so much time, with our family and with our kids. He always played with them outside. Like, you hear about it everywhere.
Yeah.
You hear about it everywhere. That's not an uncommon thread through really any Kingdom Hall that I know of.
Yeah.
They purposely know how to put on the charm. Yeah. I mean, that's what they do.
Up and down the East Coast, and every Kingdom Hall has these incidences. And then you get like
you don't think so because they cover it up.
Yeah, you get into the larger like social media aspect of it, where like we're scattered to the four winds, but we can all like immediately jump into a conversation with each other and understand even like the slightest little words. We all have them in common. Like it's pretty fascinating, but it's very telling at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like what they've done is they've created an environment that's just very easy for predators to work in. And
exactly,
they can even say they aren't true Jehovah's Witnesses, right? They're just there to be predators, and that's fine. Maybe that is true. They're not really there for the religion. They're just there for being predators. But the problem is still that you have a system that allows these people to come here, and you are unwilling to change it. It comes back to the same damn thing.
No matter what the diagnosis, this is what you have to face. This is what you have to deal with. And this
doesn't sound like a one true religion to me. If you guys can't keep predators out, I mean,
or at least go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I was going to say it's the fact too, like even in the Shepherd, the Flock of God book, it doesn't say like, oh, this person can't be an elder if we find out, or they can't do X, Y, or Z like with kids. It says it might bar them for many years, but not for the rest of his life.
Right.
But I feel like that's a for the rest of your life kind of thing. Like
it should be
or even if like you hear about it, I feel like you should be automatically disqualified from having any sort of position of power.
It's too inappropriate.
For them to have a legal department in their condition is wrong anyway. But for them to have situations involving children, where they don't immediately advise contact to the legal department is another one of those things of, oh, if this one didn't seal it, this definitely should. Like, we can't even get to like doctrine before you know it's wrong. Like, we ain't got to listen to this meeting for me to tell you that this place has nothing of value for you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to do it.
And the culture of not talking about it is detrimental to everyone involved.
Yeah.
In it. And it's I
family
tweeted,
secrets.
Yeah, I tweeted about it a while ago. It's like it is. How did I say it? It was you can quicker be disfellowshipped. You can quicker be shunned for saying there's a predator problem than you can for being a predator.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that happens over and over because there are predators in almost every congregation in this country and possibly the world. But you are not allowed to talk or complain about it, or you will be dealt with.
You're an apostate.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Are you spreading those apostate lies?
Right. Well,
even if it happened to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I am getting tired, and
I gotta go to work and
I'm tired of you.
I'm getting tired of this.
I want to thank you for
Tired.
come on and chat with all of you and meet you guys. And
we're so happy to have you on.
I hope
Hey, Ron,
was
Ron, you're doing all the work, and we really appreciate it.
Yes.
Like,
please, if you're not following Ron, make sure you're following him on Twitter. That's where else, Ron, would you like people? Make sure give before we all go, make sure you give your shout out so that way people know where to find you.
That's primarily on Twitter, where I do a lot, Instagram occasionally, and longer stuff on Reddit sometimes. But yeah,
you do good work, man. Like,
and you're basically really just Ron Pimo everywhere, right?
Yeah, that'll come up.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, please make sure you're following because you're always letting me know stuff. Like you're the one of the first people I look at to find out what's happening. I'm like, oh, gotta make a video. Boop, boop, boop. Thanks, Ron.
It should tell everybody that I have a problem with like Twitter and social media. But anyway, you guys all have a good night. Thanks a lot.
Take care,
Thank you, Ron. We really appreciate you. You rock. Awesome. Well, if you guys have anything else you want to say, you're more than welcome to shout it out before we start wrapping up. If anybody in the comments, if you have anything that you want to ask before we go, make sure you get that in. Boy, I can't believe we've been talking for over 2 hours because I was just really enjoying myself. There was just so much to talk about. We went all over the board, but I think it all really kind of comes back to
it all connects. Yeah.
It does it all. It absolutely connects. So was there anything that anybody wanted to kind of?
I'm reading my notes and just making sure that
make sure if there's anything that you wanted to bring up. Yeah, because I was taking notes to make sure that as you guys were saying stuff that I came back with my thought about it. So
yeah, I would say these public information department videos are worth your own consumption. Like those videos are worth your time, even if you don't do it all at once, because in real life, how long can you really listen to a Jehovah's Witness? That's the truth. So break it up, chew it up, or check out the people who are posting them. We're attacking the juicy portions. So that's pretty much it. Always do your homework on this religion and realize you didn't go through it as an isolated incident. You went through it because you were made to go through it, and it was wrong. It was really wrong. Whether you ever want to talk about it or not, what happened to you, if they hurt you, they really hurt you, and that was wrong. So
and there are people out here who, like you said, Jason, who have been through it, and it really is comforting to me because sometimes I feel so alone and misunderstood. And
because you're also supposed to feel like that too.
Yep, I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
It's on purpose.
Yep.
I think they want us to feel alone, we're the problem, we're the ones who chose to leave, because they know that if we all started talking to each other, that we're a force that can't be beat.
Yep.
Like, obviously,
Yep.
conversations like this, people like Ron, like all of the people in the communities, there are so many people that are coming forward now. And honestly, that is incredible to me, because when I was coming out, I was like terrified. And I remember feeling like I was alone. Like, there was nobody that I could talk to. But now, like, even just all of you guys, all the people that I've been able to meet, like, it's incredible how many of us there actually are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nothing to like not take a look at. And I think that we are affecting them, and which is why they're having to make these moves inside of their department, and they've got to kind of switch some gears up. I think they're in deep doo-doo, and they got to put those shit kickers on, try to wade out of it.
Oh,
yeah.
I cut holes in all their shit kickers, so they got to deal with
it, baby.
They got to deal with it. So
fill those boots up with poop. I like it. Yep. What were you gonna say, Dr.
I just wanted to say, to kind of bounce off with what you both were saying, not only just like talking to other people is super helpful, but I think we also have to remember, and I think earlier, Ryan, you had said that you had wished that the governments would do something about like the Jehovah's Witnesses and the religion. And I just want to remind, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they think that the government is gonna fail, right? They believe that God's government is gonna do everything, and don't even try, don't even bother. But we are the government. We are the government. Like, they're
You're
just
not wrong.
people. They're just people, and we can call them, we can reach out to them, we can get them interested. They're going to be out of power, and somebody else is going to get voted in, and we're all going to be this community of people that, as long as we keep raising awareness to this, as long as we keep fighting for what is right, if the inevitable thing is that the government ends up making rules and things that make it very difficult for them to continue on the way they're doing, and force them to come up with ways to deal with their predators, and force them for ways to do this. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be sad. I'm not saying I'm super gung-ho to ban Jehovah's Witnesses, because I think there's a huge reflexive thing that can happen with that, where people will then, it'll be conspiracy theories, and then you've got all this thing, and then you're going to have, a lot of people fighting to keep them, and they don't even know what they're fighting for.
We need ways out.
We don't want to make deeper cults and drive them deeper into the ground. But we can still hold them accountable. And just like with anything else in this government, if we put enough pressure as people, we can make it's slow, right? They think that the world's getting worse and the end is coming. They keep moving that goalpost because it's actually getting better. Just a little bit each time. It's not great. It's not perfect. It's still shitty.
There's more people aware that something needs to be different out here than there definitely is in there. So I don't know. I hope you're right. I hope there is a way to win. But
being silent
I'll
is
keep
definitely
doing what
not
I'm
the
doing.
way.
Let's just not forget that we can do something about it.
Absolutely.
They have been telling us that the government can't do anything, and the government's going to fail, and mankind governments fail, which gives us apathy. I've been doing it too. I've ignored politics for so long, even though I've been out for so long, and now I'm like, oh right, I could just email them. I've emailed people in the corporation, the company I work for, and things could happen. Oh, they're just people. Right?
Exactly.
I'm always like signing petitions and contacting my local and state authorities. I'm learning how. I'm starting to learn how. It's taken some time, but that's the stuff that we need to learn how to do, because it's really not something that we were ever educated on. And I just wanted to mention, bringing it back to what you just said about like the government and not being able to, it's pointless, they say, to try to enact change, because it'll be fruitless, because God's going to bring all these governments to an end.
Right.
Okay, so why are you trying to hire lawyers to make changes to something that the government? Come on. Like, your ideologies don't make sense. They just don't make sense. They use the
wickedest parts of the system to like grow their wicked system. They're like, oh, if they're all evil out there, I'll use the evil parts to make our parts more evil. Nope.
Which is why they justify not paying their taxes. But anyway.
I love it.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, I gotta get to bed because I gotta drive.
Wait.
Yeah.
Before you go, can you please let everybody know where they can find you? If there's anything you want to plug, please make sure you plug
Instagram.
that.
I write horror. I write a lot of JW based horror. I do horror comics.
That's awesome.
Fallbreaker Studios on TikTok is where I do speak the most about the organization. I do tell a lot of my personal story, but I don't really believe in like a lot of organization in what I do because I did that already. So it's always out, and sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's just very honest. But it's all honest. So Fallbreaker Studios, if you find it, it's usually me. If it's, I don't know, if it's anything too funky, ask me and make sure it's me.
Just to make sure it's you.
If it's amazing artwork, though, it probably is him.
It's probably me. Yeah, at that point. Thank you.
I wish I had your comic down here. I know exactly where it's at, but it's right upstairs. So yeah, make sure you give Jason a follow. Thank you so much for your input. I really appreciate you coming tonight.
Thanks for having me. Good seeing everybody. Kai, I'm gonna check out your content. So this is nice to meet you officially, but I'll definitely give you a follow.
Please do. I love it. I love it when you say like chula. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I love it. Yeah. So Jason, if you gotta go, you go ahead and hop out. I'm gonna end it with
Ryan, Dr. Time Waster. I know I'll see y'all around. Thank you so much. TikTok waves.
Appreciate you.
Take care.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye.
Night. So Dr. Time Waster, do you want to let everybody know? I'm not sure if we got to tell everybody where they can find you, if they'd like to give you a little follow.
I mean, you can find me on these channels now and then. I don't usually run my own because like I've got time for that. So I just like to, piggyback onto everybody else's hard work. And I do have a TikTok. It's Dr. Time Waster 2.0 because I locked myself out of the original one. Oh. I just like to publicly shame myself for that every now and then.
I know. It's so sad. It's so sad. The stuff is still up. They just can't message you, and it's old stuff.
It's like a monument. A moment of time.
Time capsule.
Yeah. If you follow me, it's just random. I mean, I don't make any niche content. It's just whatever I feel like doing any given day. And so, yeah, that's really all I'm at.
You to know a real atheist, like
that's right.
You're a normal person. You just do normal stuff.
Well,
you don't just talk about the governing body all the time.
It's not my whole personality. You mean? I have no personality.
Listen, oh baby, bless.
Whatever.
I'm beautiful. I don't need a personality.
Right? Absolutely not. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Kai, would you like to let everybody know where they can find you if there are any other platforms out there?
Yeah, so I have my YouTube channel. That's mostly where I've been focusing my efforts on content. I also have an Instagram. I don't really do a ton on Instagram, but my Instagram is pretty XJW girl _ It's a long thing. And I think that's really it. I'm on Twitter too. I follow Ron, so you'll probably see me around on the Twitter as well.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if what's your Twitter? Same.
My Twitter is, so I have like different handles for everything. I'm so sorry. My Twitter is,
I'm bad at that too.
My Twitter is Jesus X Craves. That's my Twitter.
I think I found you. Dummy Lovato. Is that you?
Yeah.
I freaking love it. Dummy Lovato. Okay, well, I just gave you a follow. That's epic. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I really, really loved hearing your input too. Hopefully we can do this more often. Most of you all in the audience, I see many familiar faces, but there are some new people. If you didn't know, the goal is to boost up the Apostate Coalition channel and get them to a good enough following where we can start doing all of our lives on there, because that's where we hope to make like a hub for different information about high control religions. Obviously, I'd like to have lives on here. I'm just starting them back up about all different kinds of things. Who knows? But for now, we might be hosting them here until we can either do them on the JW Lives channel with Wally, or again, if we can boost up the Apostate Coalition channel. So if you don't mind giving the Apostate Coalition channel a follow, so we can start getting that taken care of, working on the activism stuff. But thanks y'all for being here. You made it a great night. Oh, Apostate Coalition. It's just on YouTube. Sorry, I guess I should have mentioned that. And obviously, this is my channel here. You can find me also on Skeptic Haven. If you want to follow me on Skeptic Haven, sometimes I host interviews on there. And
I didn't know that.
You didn't know I was on there?
No.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's only been for a couple months. I think I started doing it, but yeah, we just did a Mythmas special with Pat. Pat was on with Josh, Dr. Josh. So yeah, it was a good night. So yeah, so I have a few places you can find me. I think that's it, y'all. I'm going to let you go. We've been here for far long enough. This has been great. Let's take down the Watchtower one brick at a time. We can do it together. Love you, mean it. See you soon, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.